Pearl Harbor, words of war. Scene 1, December 5th, 1941, a sixth-grade classroom in Honolulu, Hawaii. In December of 1941, the Axis powers, Germany, Italy, and Japan, were at war with the Allied powers, England and France. Because of its experiences in World War I, the United States wanted to remain neutral and stay out of the war. The American base at Pearl Harbor on the island of Oahu in Hawaii was considered to be one of the best defended bases that the United States had. The ships of the United States Pacific Fleet were anchored there. The United States was neutral, but it hoped that the presence of the Pacific Fleet at Pearl Harbor would make Japan think twice about its military plans. Who can tell us when Hawaii became a territory of the United States? Tommy? 1900. Very good. Now who can tell us what being a territory of the United States means? Lane? It means, but what if the Japanese do attack Pearl Harbor? Joe Campbell, is your name Lane? Did I call on you? No, ma'am, but since you want to know so much, Joe, I'd like you to write a report on Queen Liliuokalani and present it to the class on Monday. Oh, shucks, Mom. A 5-page report, Joe Campbell, and I'll add a page every time I hear you using slang words in my classroom. All right. Now, Lane, suppose you begin reading chapter 12 for us. Hawaii consists of 8 main islands and 124 smaller ones. They stretch across 1,500 miles of the Pacific Ocean. Oahu is the third largest island. Oahu means the gathering place in Hawaiian. The majority of Hawaiians live on the island of Oahu. Hawaii's main crops include pineapple and sugarcane. The mild climate. Thank you, Lane. All right, children, it's just another air raid drill. Remember, what did we do last time? That's right, line up single file, no pushing. Nothing to worry about, right, Mom? Dad'll be okay. Right, nothing to worry about at all. It's just a drill. Scene 2, a few minutes later, in the air raid shelter. Lucky we were in town to pick up the kids from school. There's not much shelter on the road to the plantation. A palm tree's not much protection against the bomb. Takashi! Mrs. Beaton, if I may speak bluntly, you're one of the few people who can afford to take your family to the mainland. The Japanese may attack any day. You'll be much safer in the United States. It's no good trying to frighten me, young man. I've lived here since 1900. I'm not going to be driven away by rumors of war. But what if the rumors turn out to be true, Mrs. Beaton? Nonsense. All the generals and the admirals and the what have yous agree that if the Japanese were to attack, and I emphasize if, they would hit Borneo or Thailand or Manila. Pearl Harbor is too heavily defended. This is my home, and I'm not leaving it. I don't care if the Germans and the Italians and the Japanese attack us. Well, the Campbells aren't going anywhere either. Besides, if we were in any danger, my husband would know it. He'd have us packed up in a second. I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying right here with Dad. Besides, the Japanese ambassadors are in Washington, D.C. right now to talk peace with the United States. I think they'll agree to President Roosevelt's demand. They'll pull out of Indochina. They need American oil and gas. I don't know. It could be a trick. I was born in Japan. I grew up there. I can't even tell you how many times I was told this. Japan has never lost a war. It began with a sneak attack. Never. What if the Japanese do attack? What if I never get to see Granddad Nishi again? Dad, can't you get him to leave Kamakura and move here? I wish I could, Tommy, but Japan's his home. He doesn't want to leave it any more than Lane wants to leave hers. Woo, woo, woo! There's the all clear. Children, don't forget your books. Finish chapter 12 tonight. Boy, she never forgets to give us homework. Yeah, I bet if Japanese did bomb us, we'd still have to turn in our math homework. Act 2, Scene 1, Sunday, December 7th, 1941, 6:45 a.m., aboard the USS Ward, a destroyer patrolling the waters outside Pearl Harbor. The Antares says a sub's following them. A sub? It can't be. That area is restricted. Antares, please confirm submarine sighting. Roger, Antares. It's a sub all right, but it's not one of ours. Notify the captain. He's already on deck. Looks like he's taking a look at the sub through his binoculars. Whoa, hold on, we're firing. Too high. First one's high, second one. Got her. We have attacked, fired upon, and dropped death charges upon submarine operating in defensive sea area. Over and out. You don't suppose she could have been one of ours, do you? I hope not. If it wasn't, you know what that means, don't you? It was a Japanese sub. And what's a Japanese sub doing in these waters? Spying on us, maybe. Setting us up for an attack is more like it. Whoa, plane's moving in fast. You'd better call Fort Shafter. Plane's approaching, sir. Position is about 132 miles from us. Sir, yes, sir. Well, whose are they? Ours. Biggest flight I've seen show up on the screen. Fort Shafter, sure that those planes are ours? Yep, duty officer says it's flight of B-17s coming in from the mainland. I sure hope he's right. Scene 2, same day, 7:50 a.m. inside the Nishi's house. I saw that guy again when I was making my rounds this morning. Maybe he's just a tramp trying to sneak a few pineapples. A tramp wearing a suit and carrying a pair of binoculars? No, I think he's a spy. I better call the police. What would a spy be doing way out here? You'd think he'd be closer to the base. Why would the Japanese be interested in knowing how many pineapples Mrs. Beaton has? You never know. He might not be the only one. He might be waiting for a signal or something. Boy, you should see the planes coming in. Ours? American planes? Sure, there are no sirens or anything. Grandmother says she'll pick us up for church in... What's that? But there weren't any sirens or anything. Hurry, we have to get to the air raid shelter. It's the Japanese. They're bombing Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor, but my mom went to pick up my dad. They're both out there. I gotta go find them. Wait, Joe, hold on. You can't go out there by yourself. Takashi, come back. Dad! Takashi and Joe hop in the Nishi's car and drive off toward Pearl Harbor. Thick black clouds of smoke boil into the sky above the base. They can hear sirens now, aeroid warnings, fire engines, and ambulances, and ships' hordes calling crews to their battle stations. And Japanese bombers continue to fly in, dropping more and more bombs and striking the ground with gunfire. In that first round of bombing, Japan sent in 40 torpedo bombers, 50 dive bombers, 50 high-level bombers, and 50 fighter planes. 7 American battleships sitting in the harbor were seriously hit. American planes were knocked out of commission as they sat on the runways. At 9 o'clock a.m., the Japanese attacked again. A few surviving American planes managed to get into the air, but the battle was one-sided. In less than an hour, it was over. Half of the United States Pacific Fleet was destroyed. Almost 200 planes belonging to the Navy, Marines, and Army were lost. The number of Americans killed was 2,403, and 1,178 were wounded. The Japanese losses were light: 29 planes, 1 submarine, 5 mini-submarines, and 55 men. Scene: Monday, December 8th, 1941, inside the Nishi's house. The Campbells, the Nishis, and the Beatons were lucky. Everyone survived, and no one was hurt in the attack. Sam Dobbins was seriously wounded in the right leg. America was stunned by what happened at Pearl Harbor. People spending quiet Sunday afternoons at home heard the news over the radio. They rushed into their yards and into the streets to share the news with their neighbors. Now Americans were ready to fight. The next day, people gathered around their radios, waiting to hear what President Roosevelt had to say. Congress had called a special session, and the president was going to speak. He's got to declare war against Japan. We're in it now, whether we like it or not. It's time. Turn up the radio. Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy, the United States was suddenly and deliberately attacked by the naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan. The attack yesterday on the Hawaiian Islands has caused severe damage to American naval and military forces. Very many American lives have been lost. I ask that Congress declare that since the unprovoked attack by Japan on Sunday, December 7th, a state of war has existed between the United States and the Japanese Empire. But what about Grandfather? He hasn't done anything wrong. It's not his fault that Pearl Harbor got bombed. He's not the enemy. No, he's not. Neither are we, but some people may not understand that. I was born in Japan. Some people may not trust me. Both you and your mother were born here in Hawaii, but they may not trust you either. War is so simple. It's not always easy to tell the good guys from the bad guys. 3 days later, Germany and Italy declared war on the United States. World War II ended 3 years later, in 1945, and it was truly a world war. Over 70 countries and 75% of the world's population were affected. About 20 million soldiers were killed and wounded. Tens of millions of civilians lost their lives or were hurt. What did the war cost? About $1 quadrillion.